Hey Monopoly, best game ever, and it's time for Monopoly Rules Explained Part 2. So let's start by talking about some of the most tricky things in the game, mortgage properties. When you mortgage a property, you get half the value you purchased the property for, and when you pay the mortgage back, you have to pay an additional 10% along with the value you mortgaged it for. When you land at income tax, you have a choice of doing two things. Either you can pay $200 right away, or you can pay 10% of your total assets. You have to total all your assets. This is mortgaged and unmortgaged properties. The mortgaged properties are the value that you mortgage the property for, and not the additional 10%. Get out of jail free cards have absolutely no monetary value. Your Go money is also included in that total worth. If you elect to pay 10% and your assets total over $2,000, then you may not go back. Once you've calculated, you have to pay that full amount. If you're trading or selling a mortgaged property to another player, they must immediately either unmortgage it or pay 10% of the mortgage price. If the player then decides to unmortgage the property a few turns later, they must pay the 10% again along with what the mortgage price is. This rule also applies when you're going bankrupt to another player. You can either unmortgage all the properties right away, or just unmortgage some, or unmortgage none and pay 10% at least for all the properties. If you go bankrupt to the bank then auctions all the properties that you had. They do not, however, auction houses or hotels. In jail, if you roll doubles to get out, then you do not roll doubles again. If you wish to go up 2 hotels in a color group, you do not have to have physically 4 houses on each property. If you have less than that, however, there must be enough houses in the bank for you to go up to 4 houses. So if there are not enough houses for you to go up to 4 houses on each property in your color group, then you can't go up to hotels. You can only buy the houses that are still in the bank. You also don't roll the dice again if you land on a utility. You just pay the amount shown on the dice. Unless, however, you draw the advanced token to nearest utility card. Then you roll dice again and pay that amount. If you wish to quit in the middle of a game of Monopoly, which I never ever recommend, all assets are turned to the bank and your properties are auctioned off. Here's some common house rules that people use that are not in the rulebook and make the game last a really, really long time. 1. Putting all money from chance and community chest cards as well as income tax, luxury tax in free parking, and then when you land at free parking you get all that money. Yeah, that's not a rule, and it's a rule that makes the game last like 4 or 5 hours longer than it needs to. Getting money on free parking at all or on any other space where you do not get money just makes the game last longer. You do not get $400 for landing on Go. You may not give immunity from paying rent as part of a trade. You also can't sell chance or community chest cards before they are drawn. Please don't play with these rules or any of the other house rules. They just make your games last longer. The official rules of Monopoly make the game shorter and also more fun. Here are some other things that I really recommend. They're not in the rule book, but you really should play with these things just because it makes the game go faster. Pity trades. I hate pity trades. Do not ever do a pity trade. A pity trade is when you're about to go bankrupt or just want to help out a friend and sell all your properties for an extremely low price, like a couple of dollars. Doing auctions where the person always goes up by only $1. You should really be going up at an auction by increments of $5 or $10 unless you only have a certain amount of money in front of you. It just makes the auctions go a lot faster and also a lot easier when you decide to pay up. Monopoly is a really fun game, and when you play the rules right, the game will last under 2 hours, provided that everyone's paying close attention and doesn't wander off. If everyone's focused, you should have no problem finishing your game in a reasonable amount of time. Knowing the official rules is your first step to being a really good Monopoly player. Alright, so these are just some of the basic misconceptions of the Monopoly rules. If you have any more questions or need a rule clarified, leave it in the comments and I will get back to you. And if you have any topics you want me to do, Monopoly related preferably, leave them in the comments as well. I'm also gonna start doing a series once a week called Monopoly Strategy Tips. I'll tell you when it's starting and it will be awesome. Every week you'll get a new strategy tip and you can start creaming your friends and family at Monopoly. I'll see you guys when I start my Monopoly Strategy Tip series, DFTBA.